Cannabis traders and investors, I've been making these videos privately for the past couple of months, but a longtime follower requested a public video, and I figured we would check in on the US marijuana stocks and see where we stand in the short term. Is a temporary top being set? Are the bulls still in full control? Let's look at the charts. So first off, a couple comments about the sector. There's a lot of people that are, all in and very fundamental about the US MJ space, and it's very frustrating for them to watch the Canadian MJ names outperform. And there's a number of reasons that you can point to it: CNBC coverage, people just being unaware of the differences. But really what it boils down to is what has always boiled down to: the exchanges and the dollar volume that they are traded on. And just myself as an individual trader, as an example, I will easily trade 3 to 4 times as much dollar volume on a day trade on CGC or APHA than I will on any individual USMJ name trading on the OTC. So if I'm just buying and selling one trade on the day, that's instantly 6 times as much dollar volume that I would have on a USMJ name. It's just a different market environment. And because of that, people that only care about trading are going to be looking to those Canadian MJ names for that opportunity. I've been day trading them, and I have not been day trading the USMJ names the way that I keep it simple: day trade Canadian MJ, swing trade USMJ, and that is how I compartmentalize things and keep them organized in my brain. Congrats to the GWPH bulls, gap up to all-time highs on the buyout, and that was a big payday as far as a 30% plus move up. So getting bought out, and that's good news. Keep in mind, the catalyst of momentum that was caused by CGC getting an investment from Constellation Brands, that in my opinion will happen in the US. When that happens in the US, whatever individual US MSO gets either a pharmaceutical or an alcohol or a tobacco company to go behind it big, it'll just be a catalyst because everybody will rush into the other names looking for them to get the buyout or huge cash infusion as well. So that's a catalyst in the short term. We certainly know that any legal changes are coming down the pipeline as potential catalysts as well. And in my opinion, we always need to be looking at the other side. I never like to be in a crowded trade. And the one thing that's keeping this trade crowded is the fact that the OTC is limiting exposure for a lot of people in these names. So that's one thing that's keeping me from saying this is a very oversaturated space right now. But we do have to keep an eye on what could be negatives. Negatives could be continued stalling and just inability to get anything done in the government. That certainly wouldn't be surprising. It's notorious for that. Another possible negative implication would be the broader market. Have to keep an eye on the broader market. It has a very significant impact. In my opinion, we don't have much by way of negative catalysts that can break this bullish momentum in this sector. It will have to be broader market weakness that does it, in my opinion. And on all the charts that we're about to look at, there's a tale of 2 weeks. We have 2 weeks ago where it was all bear in the S&P 500, and let's just look at that real quick. And then last week was all bull. So all bear to end the week with some notable fear versus all bull this past week. And the names that we're about to look at, pretty much all of them are doing that same thing. IIPR pulled back 10% and then bounced up 15% plus. And GRWG pulled back 18% or so, and then a rocket move 40%. And all the individual MJ names as well. Here's MSOS, high volume sell-off into market fear, V-shaped recovery to all-time highs. You get the idea. The impact of the S&P 500 is very notable. I saw the weakness in the S&P 500 2 Mondays ago. I sold my MSOS and reloaded on the weakness. So again, I have a trader mindset. I'm not an investor in this space right now just because everything about my trading style tells me stick to trading. And the broader market is absolutely impacting my decisions. And that's the case for a lot of individuals, as well as, bots and algos that are trading on the NYSE and the NASDAQ, Canadian MJ names that are correlated to the broader market. Keep an eye on it. So IIPR bulls, weekly bull flag following through. We set a weekly higher low at 170.61, straight up to a new higher high. These bulls have complete control. The weekly uptrend is our guide. The daily uptrend is our guide. The hourly uptrend is our guide. And the bulls have space. Anything above 184.56 is a daily high or low. If we lose the daily uptrend, we zoom out. We scout the weekly support level of 170.61. Again, any monthly chart that looks like this, that has not consolidated since a 500% move at the COVID lows, it means be cautious. It doesn't mean you have to sell because we're overextended. It just means any bullish entries need a close by stop level, so you're not buying the top before monthly consolidation, because when monthly consolidation takes place, we're going to see a 20% plus pullback. Again, there's no sign of it at this point, but the lack of consolidation after 500%, you can't ignore that. So the daily uptrend is our guide in the short term. GRWG is the same thing. Weekly higher low set, 40.57, V-shaped to a new all-time high. Completely opposite weeks. You had 1 week where we dropped down, again, 20% plus, and then just a complete recovery because of the S&P 500. When we lose the pattern of a higher low every day, which we've had 5 days in a row, SPY has that same pattern, we look for a daily higher low compared to 40.57. We watch for first hourly oversold conditions when scouting that daily higher low. And again, longer term, that 140, or make that the 40.57 level, is now the most important short-term level. Look at the weekly EMA 12. This support level has been holding for about 9 months at this point, and the bounce happened just above it. That can be a visual guide as well, whether you're using the price level uptrend or the EMA 12 uptrend. Both go hand in hand for ensuring a strong uptrend remains intact. MSOS. So I added back at 40.33, and I wanted twice as many shares. So I started scaling in there. I would have scaled in on further weakness. Obviously, we didn't get any. And rather than adding, I just held that position, and it ended up being really nice gains of 20%. So would have liked to have had twice as many shares, but I'm not complaining. I did sell it on Friday. Why did I sell it on Friday? Account euphoria is as simple as I can break it down. My account is at a level that I really like it at. The S&P 500 is a bit extended with 5 green days in a row on this bounce. Same thing here on MSOS. We just went 20+% up with no daily consolidation. Bottom line is, I'm fairly confident that I can reload what I just sold at 49.50 on Friday at 49.50 or lower sometime in the next few days. So I will look to do so. 40.33 is now our key support level. That's our weekly higher low, new all-time high. The continued dollar volume is a great sign as long as that keeps up. And we'll be watching for first hourly oversold conditions on any daily pullback, looking for the daily higher low. What stood out to me on Friday, in addition, account euphoria, whenever I feel that euphoria, I start scaling out some positions to lock in some gains, because I find that most often when I feel that account euphoria and I don't act, that I get back some of that profit very shortly after. So it was the fact that we saw high volume and a very tight range. Look at the range on Friday. We saw a range of 49.03 to 50.09. So pretty much $1.06 range. And that's going to be the smallest range that we've seen in the last couple of weeks. So why does that matter? To me, that just shows me more balance between supply and demand. It shows, obviously, the last week, demand for shares outweighing supply. We're going up, we have strong closes, we have solid volume, and then we have high volume in a really tight range up at the top of a move. For me, that shows me the potential that the supply and demand are evening out a little bit more. And now we're going to see, as we come into this next week, do we start to see supply outweigh demand a little bit to lead to daily consolidation? So long story short, satisfied with gains, locked them in, and we'll look to reload cheaper. GTBIF, V-shaped recovery. Again, the volatility in this sector is massive, and that's because of the lack of liquidity on the OTC. When you have everybody racing to get out, as we saw 2 weeks ago, you drop hard and fast. And when you have everybody racing to get back in, you go up hard and fast. So we ended up with a massive pullback in just 3 days. And again, it's a little bit of a wake-up call for those that are getting complacent in this bullish environment. We can drop 24% in 3 days. Obviously, we had a significant recovery of 45% from there, but there will come a time where at some point we will be looking at a top being set and that 20% pullback not recovering. In my opinion, that would probably likely take place after uplisting, after a slew of positive news gets priced in and gets the headline attention. But again, just keep it in the back of your mind that that is something that we need to prepare for. So short-term support here is 31.19, little double top of resistance at 34.45. If we were to reject from that double top and break 31.19, that would just show us a shift in short-term momentum. And again, we have a new weekly higher low at 2363, which is now our most important level after no clear weekly consolidation for a very long time. That is now the level that must hold. And on any further pullback under 3119, we will be looking for a higher low compared to 2363. GTBIF is one of the strongest names in the short term because of that higher high and new all-time high. Significant move. CRLBF is also a stronger name in the short term. Solid V-shaped recovery as well. Again, 30% pullback into a 50%, nah, less than that, 40% bull move. If we break the low of Friday on Monday, daily consolidation is underway. We scout hourly oversold conditions, and we look for a daily higher low compared to 1120. Just a note, backburner trades, and there's a video specific to those on YouTube from us, but they have been my bread and butter over the last year trading everything. Everything that's been bullish, first 5-minute oversold conditions after a massive bull run, first hourly oversold conditions, they are very high probability trades. That's different on the OTC. We can still look for them in the same way, but it's not the same thing. If you give me the same exact setup, and one's NYSE with an hourly RSI breaking 30, and one's OTC with an hourly RSI breaking 30, I'm way more confident in that NYSE name due to the volume and liquidity. So just keep that in mind. We can be using the same signals, but it's a little bit different on the OTC. And we did get a new all-time high on CRLBF. It's been a laggard in that regard, but that V-shaped recovery, new weekly higher low, 1120 is the most important level from here, and a new high. TCNNF has not broken the all-time high. We'll just call it 49. If the low of Friday breaks on Monday, 45.44, we then have an equilibrium shaping up. And I'll just be viewing this as the all-time high, the low of the pullback, 20% lower, lower high, and we'll be scouting a higher low. If I want to be an aggressive bull and I'm looking for a position entry, I can be looking for an entry on daily consolidation and using 38 as my stop level. So let's see if we get that equilibrium, because it will make things nice and clear as we tighten up. We got to be watching earnings as well. We're going through Canadian MJ earnings, and we've got CGC coming up Tuesday pre-market. We've got ACB. So Canadian MJ names, and I believe it's the thick of March. Whatever the thick of March is, the middle of March is when we have the majority. Honestly, there's so much going on. I take it 1 week at a time. So I don't have those exact dates off the top of my head, but I know it's not next week, so I'll worry about it later. CURLF also failed to break the high at this point. If this inside bar from Friday breaks bearish, our daily lower high is set, and we then scout a higher low. Again, on the size of this bounce, for the names that have not broken bullish yet, it is still a very bullish bounce. When you have this kind of pullback, the bounce retracement size gives us information. And I just do it visually, but if you want to use the actual fib retracements, you're going from the high to the low, and you're seeing that we bounced way over a 65% retracement. If you bounce to the 382 and don't get above it, it favors a bear flag. If you bounce to the 50% and beyond, it favors an equilibrium. And if you bounce, 80% retracement, obviously it favors the bulls. There is tons of space for a higher low here to stay strong. So just to go over that again, weak bounce favors the possibility of a confirmed downtrend. 50% retracement favors an equilibrium. And this size of a bounce also favors an equilibrium, but puts the bulls at a much better position. So we'll scout the daily higher low, anything above 1298, if we do get some profit taking on Monday. HRVSF, acting as a laggard. Look at the monthly time frames. It is nowhere near the strength of the MSOs. But that being said, it has acted as a laggard. The bull break took place way later than the other USMJ names, and now it's in a solid uptrend with solid volume. So a weekly higher low of 274, bull break to continuation, and after 408, we can see a lack of resistance anywhere nearby. We're looking at 582 as the next clear level. And another one that V-shaped. Again, you got to be cautious. We pulled back 20-25%, but a V-shaped recovery to a higher high, and anything above 285 will be a daily higher low on any consolidation. When you see sectors run really strong, whether it's crypto or MJ or whoever, you have the leaders running first, and then you have the small names, the laggards, that then see profits go their way, because everybody's looking for the next name that's going to run, and everybody has a lot of confidence having already made money off of the leaders. So in this USMJ space, You know, we're about to look at some of these other smaller names, but even the names like MedMen and Ianthus, which are both just absolute disasters long-term, looking at the last 3 years, but they're seeing big moves because money is just rotating around within the sector. So there is trading opportunity there. Just be extremely cautious on those names. And they can be, you know, YOLO, gamble, long-term holds, but you pretty much have to assume zero or big gains and allocate capital that allows for that. I'm not going to cover those names. I'm going to stick with the smaller names that have uptrends. And we're looking at TRSSF, 1490 key resistance. Again, same thing as the other setups, where if the low of Friday breaks on Monday, we have a daily equilibrium setup, and we scout the daily higher low compared to $11. CXXIF also failed to break the high 162. Pretty notable pullback Friday. Bulls need a higher low compared to 105. They are attempting weekly continuation, but the size of the pullback was very significant, so it is taking the bulls a while to get back to that high. This was a pullback of 35%, and it is a possibility that we just see this weekly tightening range. Again, it depends on the S&P 500. Does the S&P 500 weigh on the sector with daily consolidation or not? Fear permeates all sectors. That being said, a sector that is positioned well fundamentally will get over that initial wave of fear faster. And we saw that in the COVID dump. We dumped massively with COVID, and it was a bit of a head scratcher with everybody saying, well, our stores are staying open, they're deemed essential businesses, and then it was a laggard reaction where the strong uptrends started to get going, delayed, but there were bulls there to buy that dip. So I expect that to be the case for the sector. We will not be immune to broader market fear, but after the initial wave of broader market fear hits, and after everybody that wants to bail does so, and they do so, you know, aggressively, which again on an illiquid name leads to a fast hard drop, but there will be dip buyers in this sector as long as we do not have uplistings yet, and as long as we do not have the fundamental changes in laws. After those two things happen, I will be a lot more cautious in the sector just in general. I'll treat it like anything else. But as of right now, with those looming catalysts, it is a buy the dip scenario whenever they appear. So that is where we stand in the USMJ space. Again, I will look to add anything under 49.50 that I add back on MSOS. I consider that a win. 40.33 is a very key important level for us. The low of last week on all individual names, because if those lows break, monthly consolidation is then underway. And again, MSOS is definitely extremely strong, but the monthly time frame has not consolidated since the all-time low. Doesn't mean it has to happen soon, but it means we will see monthly consolidation in this name, and it will pull back 20 to 30% plus. And we just need to recognize that that will happen at some point. And until then, enjoy the weekly uptrend. Hope you're well. Hope you had a good weekend. Don't forget to do good things out there, and we'll see you soon.
So that's really good.